Hey y'all, and welcome to the lesson where we're going to be showing you the B-roll shoot for our gear organization tutorial video. In this video, you're going to see us prepping our floating items with fishing wire, doing some green screen filming, and showing you the behind the scenes of the rest of our B-roll. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so first we want to get our camera settings right, because for this we are doing what is called a multi-camera setup, which basically just means we're using more than one camera. So we're going to have, the camera that's getting our shot for our tutorial video, and then the camera that's filming the behind the scenes. And we're going to want those to be synchronized or synced when we're editing so that I can cut between them whenever I want to. Now, remember the way that we're going to sync two devices that are recording audio, whether you're using a camera and an external audio recorder like this live pack, or whether you're using two cameras that are recording audio, no matter what, the way you sync is by lining up those audio waveforms. So that means that even if we're not using the audio from these cameras, the audio needs to be good enough that we're gonna get waveforms that we can sync. And so if we have this camera across the room and we've got the audio level set all the way to 1 at the lowest, we're gonna get a really quiet looking waveform that doesn't have any information, and we ain't gonna be able to sync that. On the flip side, if we've got this camera set to the highest audio level, the loudest one, and then we put it right beside a speaker that's blasting music, then our audio waveform is gonna look like this, and we ain't gonna be able to sync that either. So what we're gonna do is make sure that our audio levels at least sound decent when Miles is about 5 feet away, because that's around where we're gonna be for most of these shots. Another thing with the syncing is I also wanna make sure that we are not completely silent every time we're filming a shot. We wanna try to say something a little different every time so that we can make sure those waveforms line up. Finally, the last thing we want to do to make sure the sync works is we want to set the frame rate to be the same on both of these cameras. And if you don't know what frame rate is, again, I've got a video all about that on YouTube that I'll link down below. But basically, we're going to be using that software Pluralize that makes it so much easier to sync multiple clips between different devices. And if you don't have the same frame rate on each of these cameras, then Pluralize is going to get mad and it's not going to work. And so we want to make sure that we get them the same. So now it's time to make our floating items. So these are the things I'm talking about when I'm giving these gear organization tips. So when I say, my next tip is to use cable ties, then we're gonna have this looking like it's floating in air and that's just dangling there, slowly spinning around. We're gonna do that by hanging it from fishing wire and maybe using some hot glue, which I've never used before. I've never done any of this before, but I watched a tutorial on YouTube that I hope is going to come through for me. So let's see what happens.
Why don't we look at that tutorial again? I don't remember anything about it.
So I'm going to show you the knot I use to tie things on. It's just a fishing knot, and that is I take it around my subject here.
What are you doing?
Ew.
And that's gross.
So, I think we ought to start with the easiest item, something we can't screw up.
Which is?
I think these, right? I'm just going to tie a little thing around it. Okay.
Should I just lick it just for good luck?
I don't know how it's going to spin. I should have watched more videos. This is the value of education, because I don't have it. It does look like it's floating though, look at that.
It does, look.
I can see that wire. Actually, the wire does kind of fade away against that background. So he said just tape it on.
It makes it easier to adjust, right?
Well, it's just one less knot you gotta tie.
Because that's not something we have time for.
No. Should I just like put a little counter? This might be another one of those moments where it looks real cool, the idea that I have inside my head, but I really hope it looks as cool as I think. For these, I feel like this is really the only place to hook this wire in, but then it's gonna be super obvious because we got that big black spot. And so we are going to use the hot glue for this, and we're supposedly you can just put a dab of hot glue and stick this in and it's supposed to work. So let's find out. And also with our hot glue, we're going to be using compressed gas, which is the stuff that you use to like clean small electronics, and it comes out cold because of science. And so we are impatient. We don't want to wait for the hot glue to dry, so you just spray this on it and then it gets hard right away. Did it work?
Look at it.
It already looks like it's floating. All right, now that we've got all our items wired up and glued up, we're gonna dangle them in front of this green screen. And again, the green screen is gonna let us swap that background out for anything we want. You can use social media apps for this. They have green screen functions, but I mean, they leave a little bit to be desired. So we're using a green screen fabric that we just got on Amazon, but it's also not working perfectly right now. You know, like this beach is a little sketchy looking. And the reason is that the green behind me is not very uniform, right? Like the light is in different places, the shadows are in different places, we've got folds going on. And so if we want it to work as well as possible, we need to fix that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 2 umbrella lights and we're gonna point them at the green screen about the same distance apart. And these umbrella lights also have light bulbs in them that are the exact same brightness or the exact same lumens, so we can try to get this lighting as even as possible. So our background is looking better. We put these clamps over here on the edge that are kind of pulling this fabric taut. Taut is a really weird word, but anyway, we're trying to get the wrinkles out. We have not done a perfect job. You can see we still have some issues here, and we could steam, we could iron, we could go crazy, but we're not gonna. We're just gonna put our subject a little bit out. So there's some distance with the background, and what does that do? That adds depth, that makes the background blurry, so hopefully that's gonna blur the wrinkles out and nobody's gonna notice that we were a little lazy. This green screen is so huge, like unnecessarily huge for what we're filming.
For this little thing.
I know. One thing we do not want is this thing spinning around super fast, because when something spins really fast, if you think about like helicopter, nope, they're not wings, they're propellers. They just look really blurry, right? And when something's really blurry, then it's not gonna have this nice, sharp, clean, defined edge that's gonna help us separate this, cut the green screen out, and replace that with the background we want. So we're gonna want a nice, smooth and, slow spin.
What are you thinking? How's it look?
I don't know. It's hard to control all of them.
I know.
I think that might look cool. It's like it's wiggling, but just a little bit. Yeah, what's the technique here?
Well, I'm not really sure. Kind of new to this, but
You don't dangle stuff from fishing wire all the time? So we're done with hanging up all our stuff. We got our floating items out the way, and now I'm gonna do the thumbnail. I know I wrote that I was gonna do that at the beginning of the shoot. I forgot because we didn't glance at our shoot plan until a little into it. That is a tip, because a lot of times you make this wonderful elaborate shoot plan and then you get in the field and you're like, I got a million things to do, and you just forget to glance at it, and that means you're gonna forget some shots. And so make sure that if you write your shoot plan a month ahead, then night before you familiarize yourself, so then on shoot day you're not looking down and saying, what did I write there? Oh wait, what am I doing? No, I'm doing an overwhelmed face.
yes. Or like a whoa, or like
Oh!
I'm like, oh no, oh, what? Or like, ah, what? Ah!
So for these thumbnail shots, I just put the camera in video mode, did a bunch of poses, and it probably would have been better if I had worn a color that did not almost match the green screen, but I still didn't have any trouble getting rid of that background. And so I definitely think this is a super efficient way to batch create thumbnail images. You know, just line some outfits up, and then you've got a stockpile of self-portraits for your thumbnails. Anyway, now we're on to the shots where we're acting out the organization tips we're giving, and we're gonna start with some bag shots. And next we did a camera movement shot, and for this I always like to start moving my camera before the subject starts their action so that there's no awkward pause at the beginning of the shot. Then I did one of my favorite gimbal moves, which is to orbit around the subject in this semicircle motion, and then I acted like a cat. I promise it'll make sense later. Next, we did a couple shots with a seamless transition, and these are actually two separate shots, but they kind of look like one shot because they end and start on the same spot. So they both end and start on Miles' back. Plus, both of them have that same left to right motion. Now, the second shot I filmed in reverse. Why did I do that? Because I wanted this hand and this battery charger to be centered and to be in focus. And that is a lot easier to accomplish before I even press record than if I'm trying to get all that right at the end of a shot and move my camera smoothly. So here's the shot how I recorded it, and here is how it turned out when I reversed it in post. Okay, so here Miles is throwing gear at the lens, well, soft gear at the lens, while I pull the camera on a piece of fabric across this table, which is basically a cheap hack to make a camera slider, which is not so cheap. Anyway, after a few tries, this is how the shot came out, and I think it looks super dope. Next, I dropped a bunch of those tiny little pieces of gear from right beside the lens, and yes, look at how sweet that looks. And it might even look cooler in reverse. Next, we did this shot with a swipe up transition, and for the first shot, we just filmed that normal, but the second one, we did it in reverse, which you can tell because, yeah, that thing is moving on its own. And for these shots, it was a lot about timing. Can we do it together? Hold on, come with me.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and then right there, you're out. So when I get right here, you go up. So since this first shot ends on that swipe up motion, we wanted the second shot to start on a swipe up, but you can see that it's kind of a bumpy ride. And that's why I decided to film this backward and then just reverse it in the edit. So I swiped down at the end, and that gave me time at the beginning of my shot to make sure that I got this box centered and in focus. And again, here's what that final swipe transition looked like, which we're gonna cut off right here because we don't wanna get to this weird part. Now, the next shot I got the idea for from this Instagram post by a creator called Chris VTV, where he bounced objects off of fabric and then he filmed them in slow motion and they looked like they were exploding in the air. And I thought, this is so cool and it's just so easy. But there were a few things from this inspo shot that I overlooked in my excitement, like the fact that he has a robot camera that moves at the speed of light, or that his footage is 1,000 frames per second, literally, or that he has a giant crew and a giant set with a million lights. See, I didn't work all of these factors into my little plan. Anyway, so here we are using one of my shirts as the fabric for this shot. And let me just remind you again, this is what our inspiration shot looked like. And here is what our first attempt looked like. The good news is that I got to throw a bunch of metal objects at myself. All right, so then we decided we would just use our hands and forget the fabric so that we could have more control, which went really well, as you can see. Anyway, so then we decided we should actually clamp the fabric and hit it from the bottom like in our inspiration shot. So we rigged up our own little setup, did a few shots, and this was the best take we got, which was still way too fast looking. But then I remembered that my phone can actually do slower motion than my camera can, so we did a few takes with it, and I mean, whatever, they're okay. But I was totally over the shot at this point. Next, we did these shots about not filling up your boxes too much, and again, we needed to get our timing right. If I go back like this, then try to just go with me. Like I'm dancing. Then here's a shot of Miles mad that he can't shut that box, shoving it onto the shelf, clapping twice because it's a good take. And here's a gimbal shot of Miles bringing in a box that's way too big. And since it was a gimbal, I got two hands, bent knees. I'm doing one simple motion. Next, we did a matched action shot, and here I am on the floor getting that. Doesn't really seem necessary that I narrate all these shots, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And here's a shot of Miles where I wanted to get him digging around, being frustrated that he couldn't find anything in that box, but the lighting on him was rough. We got dark shadows on his eyes since he's looking down, and so that made me want to lower the lights and then angle them up so they would fill in those shadows in his eyes. Hey boo, you looking much better. And then we got our shot of him not being able to find anything. Then we got this really high angle shot, and my tripod was not tall enough to pull this off, so I climbed myself on a ladder and put the camera on a light stand, which is not really meant to support a camera, and so my hands did not leave it during the entire shot. Then we got this cool under the lid shot, and I used a gimbal for that to keep it as smooth as possible. And then a little low angle shot, and I handheld this, so of course I had both hands on the camera, bent elbows tucked in. Next, a high angle shot, matched action of Miles digging in that box, and I pulled out the center column of my tripod for this, but first attached a weight so it wouldn't tip over. Next, we did some shots recommending using eyeglass cases to store small items, and we angled our lights straight down, which can be a really cool look if you're filming objects on a table. Then we did this funky little shot of the case opening, and I am kind of obsessed. And we paired that with this shot of the case closing. Then we got this shot where I moved the umbrella partially in front of the lens because y'all know your girl likes a good blurry foreground element. Finally, we ended on this sequence of throwing shots, starting with Miles pulling the case out of his pocket and then throwing it into the air. This is advanced filmmaking. Y'all do not try this at home unless you're a professional like we are. And the last shot was this low angle of Miles catching the case. And here's what all three shots look like in the end. Okay, that is it for our B-roll shoot for our gear organization tutorial. I had never really done trick shots like this before, and I gotta be honest, they were not my favorite shots to do. I still prefer doing documentary style videos where I don't have enough time where I get to lean in to my tendency to be neurotic. But I will say that the results of these trick kind of shots were really cool, and they were even cooler after I did some editing to them. And that's what we're gonna cover in the next section. I'm gonna show you exactly how I shine up these shots, and we're really gonna dig deep into advanced editing, and you're gonna level up your editing skills like crazy. So I hope you're excited, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye, y'all.